Thanksgiving Eve, 1971. A man in a business suit walked up to the Northwest Orient counter at Portland International Airport, paid $20 cash for a one-way ticket to Seattle, gave his name as Dan Cooper. 30 minutes after takeoff, he handed a note to a flight attendant. It said he had a bomb. He showed her his briefcase, wires, red sticks, a battery. He demanded $200,000 and 4 parachutes. In exchange, he'd release the passengers. The airline paid. The FBI delivered the money and the parachutes. And then Cooper did something no one had ever done before. He opened the rear door of a Boeing 727, mid-flight, at 10,000 feet, in a rainstorm, stepped out into the darkness with $200,000 strapped to his chest, and vanished. This is the only unsolved hijacking in American history. November 24, 1971, 2 p.m. A man in his mid-40s, dark suit, white shirt, black clip-on tie, sunglasses. He walked into Portland International Airport, bought a one-way ticket, Seat 18E, Northwest Orient Flight 305, Portland to Seattle. 30-minute flight. The ticket cost $20. He gave his name as Dan Cooper. Paid cash, no ID required. This was 1971. Flight 305 boarded at 2:30. 36 passengers, 6 crew members. Cooper sat in the back, aisle seat. Ordered a bourbon and soda. The plane took off at 2:50 p.m. 10 minutes into the flight, Cooper handed a note to Florence Schaffner, a flight attendant seated nearby. She thought it was a phone number. Men did that in 1971. She put it in her pocket without reading it. Cooper leaned over, whispered, "Miss, you'd better look at that note. I have a bomb." Schaffner opened the note. It said, "I have a bomb in my briefcase. I want you to sit next to me. You're being hijacked." Cooper opened his briefcase, just enough for her to see inside. Wires, red cylinders, a battery. Schaffner walked calmly to the cockpit, told Captain William Scott. Scott radioed Seattle, told them they had a hijacker on board. Cooper's demands were simple. $200,000 in $20 bills, 4 parachutes, 2 back parachutes, 2 front parachutes. Have them ready when we land. Refuel the plane. Everyone gets off except the crew. Then we fly to Mexico. The airline didn't hesitate. They paid. The FBI scrambled. 10,000 $20 bills. They photographed every serial number. Took hours. Northwest Orient's president authorized the payment immediately. No negotiation. While the money was being prepared, Flight 305 circled Seattle for 2 hours. Cooper sat calmly, sipped his bourbon, smoked cigarettes. Didn't seem nervous. At 5:24 p.m., the plane landed in Seattle. A man in a Northwest Orient uniform walked up to the plane, carrying a bag with $200,000 and 4 parachutes. Flight attendant Tina Mucklow brought them to Cooper. He checked the money, checked the parachutes, told the captain, "Release the passengers, keep the crew." All 36 passengers got off safely. 2 flight attendants got off. 1 stayed. Tina Mucklow. The plane refueled. Cooper gave the pilot his flight plan. Fly to Mexico City. Altitude 10,000 feet, no higher. Landing gear down. Flaps at 15 degrees. Speed under 200 knots. And keep the cabin unpressurized. That last detail shocked the FBI. Cooper knew something almost nobody outside Boeing knew. The 727 had a rear stairway, and it could only be opened mid-flight if the cabin was unpressurized. This wasn't some amateur. At 7:40 p.m., Flight 305 took off from Seattle, heading south. Cooper told Tina Mucklow to go to the cockpit. Close the curtain. Don't come back here. She did. Sometime around 8 p.m., a light came on in the cockpit. The rear stairs had been deployed. The pilots felt a bump, a pressure change. Someone had jumped. The plane landed in Reno, Nevada just after 10 p.m. The crew opened the rear cabin. Cooper was gone. He'd left behind his clip-on tie, 8 cigarette butts, and 2 of the parachutes. The $200,000 was gone. So was Cooper. The largest manhunt in FBI history began. The FBI calculated where Cooper likely jumped. Somewhere over southwest Washington, near a place called Woodland. Ground teams searched for weeks. Helicopters, search dogs. Nothing. They interviewed hundreds of suspects. Thousands of tips came in. Everyone had a theory. In 1980, 9 years later, an 8-year-old boy was digging on a sandbar along the Columbia River, near a place called Tina Bar in Washington. He found something. 3 packets of rotted $20 bills. $5,800. Bound by rubber bands that had disintegrated. The FBI checked the serial numbers. They matched. It was Cooper's money. But that raised more questions than it answered. How did the money get into the river? Did Cooper crash into the water? Did he bury it? No other bills ever turned up, not in circulation, not anywhere. The rest of the $200,000 vanished. So did Cooper. For 50 years, the FBI chased leads. They looked at over 800 suspects. None matched. But one name kept coming up. Richard Floyd McCoy, Jr. April 7, 1972, 5 months after Cooper's hijacking. McCoy, a 29-year-old former Army paratrooper, boarded United Airlines Flight 855, Newark to Los Angeles. Same method, same plane. A Boeing 727. Halfway through the flight, McCoy handed the flight attendant a note, said he had a grenade, demanded $500,000 and parachutes. The plane landed in Salt Lake City. The airline paid. McCoy ordered the plane to take off, gave the exact same instructions Cooper had given. Fly at 10,000 feet, landing gear down, cabin unpressurized. Then he jumped out the rear stairs, just like Cooper. But McCoy made one mistake. He jumped too close to his home in Provo, Utah. The FBI tracked him down in 3 days, found $499,970 hidden in his house. A parachute, a harness, the typewriter he'd used to write the note. Arrested him, tried him, convicted him. 45 years in prison. 2 years later, McCoy escaped. The FBI cornered him at his home in Virginia. He pulled a gun. They shot him. Richard Floyd McCoy died in 1974. But here's where it gets interesting. The FBI said McCoy wasn't Cooper. Different age, different description, case closed. Except it wasn't. In 2020, McCoy's mother died. She was 98 years old. Her children, Shantae and Richard McCoy III, started going through her things. In a storage shed on the family property in North Carolina, they found something. A parachute and a skydiving logbook. The parachute had been modified, specific alterations that matched the exact parachutes used in the Cooper hijacking. The logbook had entries that aligned with both hijackings. Cooper's in November 1971, McCoy's in April 1972. Shantae and Richard contacted Dan Greider, a retired pilot and skydiving expert who'd been investigating the Cooper case for 20 years. Grider examined the parachute. He knew immediately. This wasn't just any parachute. The modifications matched the descriptions given by the parachute's owner, a man named Earl Cossey. He's the one who provided the parachutes to the FBI in 1971. Cossey had modified them himself, moved the ripcord, cut specific straps, added D-rings. This parachute had those exact modifications. In September 2023, Grider and Richard McCoy III flew to Richmond, Virginia. They met with FBI agents, handed over the parachute, the harness, the logbook. The FBI took it into evidence. And then, in 2024, something unprecedented happened. The FBI quietly reopened the case. They asked to exhume Richard Floyd McCoy's body. Why? To get DNA. Because the tie Cooper left on the plane? It has DNA on it. Skin cells, sweat, enough for a match. McCoy's children agreed. They gave DNA samples, voluntary. They wanted the truth. As of February 2026, the FBI is waiting on the results.
Here's what we know. Richard Floyd McCoy was a decorated veteran, 2 tours in Vietnam. Demolition expert, helicopter pilot, experienced parachutist. He knew the 727, knew how it worked, knew about the rear stairs. In 1972, he hijacked a plane using the exact same method as Cooper. Same plane model, same instructions, same jump. He got caught because he jumped too close to home, but when the FBI arrested him, they didn't charge him with the Cooper hijacking. Why? Some investigators believe they made mistakes in the original investigation, didn't want to admit it. Others think they couldn't prove it, couldn't connect him to Cooper because they'd already told the press he didn't match. McCoy's children say their father was Cooper. They waited until their mother died to say it. They believe she was complicit, helped plan both hijackings. The parachute proves he had the equipment. The logbook proves he was jumping during that time period. The modified rig proves he had access to the exact parachutes used. If the DNA matches, the case is solved. Richard Floyd McCoy was D.B. Cooper. Cooper became a folk hero, the man who beat the system, who walked away with $200,000 and disappeared. Books, movies, songs, an annual D.B. Cooper festival. But if Cooper was McCoy, the legend changes. He wasn't a ghost who vanished into the night. He was a man who got away with it once, then tried again, and got caught, served time, escaped, and died in a shootout with the FBI. The FBI officially closed the case in 2016, said they'd only reopen it if physical evidence surfaced. In 2023, it did. Now we wait for DNA, for answers, for the truth. After 55 years, the mystery of D.B. Cooper might finally be solved. Not by a confession, not by finding the money, but by a parachute buried in a barn in North Carolina, and a family who decided it was time to tell the truth. This has been the story of D.B. Cooper.